Looking out over the historic skyline of Palermo, Sicily, you see a classically Mediterranean European city rooted in the traditions of the Latin West. Right in the middle of it stands the Palatine Chapel. From the outside, it looks exactly what you would expect from a 12th century Norman structure: thick stone walls, rounded arches, and the heavy, solid presence of Northern European Christianity. But inside, the visual environment shifts. Below, standard Byzantine Christian mosaics. Above, a ceiling from an entirely different cultural world. This is a close-up of a muqarnas ceiling, a complex honeycomb-vaulted structure that is a defining architectural hallmark of the great mosques in Cairo and Isfahan. It is carved from wood, painted in vivid reds and golds, and surrounded by Arabic inscriptions. Roger II, the Norman King of Sicily, commissioned this work for his private royal chapel. He was a Christian monarch who spoke Arabic, surrounding himself with Muslim poets, philosophers, and architects. This is King Roger II's official coronation mantle. It's a massive cloak of red silk, dominated by a clear Islamic motif of lions attacking camels. The gold Kufic script running along the hem is an Arabic inscription praising God, recorded in the Islamic calendar. Curious. This medieval European king ruled in Italian Ireland, wore robes stitched in Arabic, and worshipped beneath a mosque ceiling. To see how these elements came together, we have to go back 300 years before Roger was born, to the day a Byzantine official made a desperate calculation. In the early 9th century, Sicily was a peripheral, politically unstable province of the Byzantine Empire. Facing punishment for a local scandal, a Byzantine military commander named Euphemius invited the Muslim rulers of modern-day Tunisia to help him seize the island. In June of 827 CE, a fleet of 10,000 troops crossed the Mediterranean and landed on Sicily's southwestern coast. Euphemius was killed shortly after, but the Muslim forces stayed. What followed was a grinding 75-year military campaign against the Byzantines that eventually secured the entire island, creating the Islamic Emirate of Sicily. But the long-term impact of this conquest was not strictly military. Once the territory was secured, the new rulers began a process of civilizational building, and their most permanent conquest was of the soil itself. This diagram illustrates how they did it. Arab agronomists brought sophisticated irrigation techniques developed for arid environments in North Africa and the Middle East. They tapped underground water sources, channeling it through complex gravity-fed networks, unlocking yields standard European dry farming could not achieve. Through these networks, Muslim farmers introduced entirely new crops to the European landscape. They planted cotton, sugarcane, pistachio trees, and, most famously, citrus fruits. If you visit Sicily today, the sprawling lemon and blood orange groves that dominate the island's agricultural economy are the direct, living descendants of the trees and irrigation methods planted by those Arab farmers over 1,000 years ago. Mastering the landscape generated a massive economic surplus. Sicily was transformed from a restless Byzantine outpost into a highly productive agricultural powerhouse, generating the wealth necessary to fund a true golden age. That wealth flowed directly into the capital, Palermo. Under Muslim rule, it swelled into a megacity. By the 10th century, its population reached nearly 300,000 people, making it one of the largest cities in Europe and ranking second only to Baghdad in cultural vitality across the Arab world. It was a dense, highly developed urban center. Contemporary travelers reported hundreds of mosques, sprawling bazaars, bathhouses, and a remarkably multicultural population of Arabs, Berbers, Byzantines, and Jews living and working in close proximity. Because of its central Mediterranean location, Sicily functioned as a primary channel for scholarship. Arabic texts containing the Islamic Golden Age's accumulated knowledge in mathematics, astronomy, and medicine were brought to Palermo, translated into Latin, and exported into the universities of the Latin West. Yet, like many sprawling medieval states, the emirate eventually weakened from the inside. By the early 11th century, dynastic instability and brutal infighting between rival Muslim factions fractured the island into competing territories. Watching closely from the Italian mainland was a group of highly capable Norman mercenaries. Seeing the division, Robert Guiscard and his brother Roger launched an invasion, picking off the rival factions one by one, sometimes even allying with one Muslim emir against another. By 1091, the emirate was officially gone. The Normans had won the territory. But looking around at the irrigation networks, the thriving capital, and the advanced administrative systems, they realized the civilization they had just defeated militarily was vastly more advanced than their own. Which brings us back to Roger II. When he became king of Sicily, he made a highly unusual choice for a medieval conqueror. He absorbed the conquered culture, keeping Muslim administrators and scientists in power to run the kingdom's vital infrastructure. This is the Tabula Rogerana, widely considered the most accurate world map produced in the Middle Ages. It was created by the Muslim geographer Muhammad al-Idrisi, who spent 15 years working inside Roger's court, producing this masterpiece with full Arabic annotations. The map is drawn with south at the top, as was customary in Islamic cartography. But if you rotate it to orient it to the north, the exactness of the Mediterranean and European coastlines is staggering. It was so precise that European navigators relied on it for centuries, a Muslim scholar's life work commissioned and protected by a Christian king. The Norman kings even adopted the lifestyle of the emirs they replaced. They built the Zisa Palace just outside the walls of Palermo as a summer residence.